Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait. I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Coming up on The Devil's Details, who wrote the Testament of Solomon? Not Solomon. The Testament of Solomon, Part 1. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just 2 lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Keenan. We stand in solidarity with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. And you are in luck today, folks, because we are gonna get biblical. Actually, we're gonna get extra biblical. Because this is an extra biblical text, meaning it is non-canonical. It is not in the Bible, folks. You might remember that I had talked before about the Ars Goetia, or Ars Goetia, sometimes is pronounced, which is a famous list of 72 demons which Solomon, yes, that Solomon, had under his control and which helped him to build the first temple of Israel. Well, that temple. That guy, 72 demons. Yeah. That list is in a book called The Lesser Key of Solomon, which itself is a famous or magical text or grimoire. And maybe we'll talk about that one day. But before we can even get to that, we got to tell you the story of how it all began. We got to go way back. We got to go all the way back.
All the way back to Solomon's time?
No, turns out not that far back. Actually, a couple thousand years after Solomon.
Oh, yeah. You can't go back to Solomon's time because they hadn't invented time machines yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a, whew. Oh, you're making my brain hurt, Keenan. But no, I am speaking, of course, of the extra-biblical, non-canonical, apocryphal text, the Testament of Solomon. So, folks, this is part of the Apocrypha. It is not recognized as canon by any of the Abrahamic religions or any of their denominations, right? That's not always the case with Apocrypha. There are some instances where some stuff is recognized by certain denominations. For example, the Book of Tobit, the Book of Judith, 1st and 2nd Maccabees. These are canon in the Catholic Bible, but Protestant Christians consider them Apocrypha, which in this context just means not canon, which I was a little disappointed because like apocrypha is such a cool sounding word, right? And it literally means hidden things, right? And in college, like I took, Bible study and I was like, oh, this is the secret parts of the Bible with demons and dragons and wizards and magic, right? But no, it's more like no, these parts are definitely made up. This is fan fiction, right?
This is the stuff they don't want you to know.
Because
they're keeping it out of the Bible, which, well, that's actually true sometimes.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a conspiracy to keep it out of the Bible. Well, that's true. That actually happens sometimes.
Yeah. So there you go, folks, right? So in this context, right, think of the Apocrypha as Bible fan fiction, right? Mm-hmm. Usually written way later. Sometimes the author has a special agenda, like a political agenda, right? So they're trying to like make the characters in the Bible behave a a certain way to justify said agenda. Or sometimes it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, right? And this even actually, so this works for atheists too, because like even if you think all of this is fiction, right?
Right.
We can all agree that fan fiction is something different even from that, right? It would be like someone other than Sir Arthur Conan Doyle writing Sherlock Holmes, right? And we'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
But you like one of those, I thought.
I do.
It'd be like him
saying
trying to pass that off as the real thing, I suppose.
Exactly, right? Yeah, right. But I will say, but like I will be the first to say that Sam Siciliano's Angel of the Opera, Sherlock Holmes meets the Phantom, is not an actual Sherlock Holmes story, even though it kind of it's not officially like canon. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, some people, lay people, I don't know someone within the faith tradition how they might talk about this, but lay people and lay scholars tend to refer to these sometimes as mythology. So like distinguishing them from the religious texts or Jewish mythology and Christian mythology. Again, that's how I approach it, but that might not be respectful. So I'm not sure what term is right.
I've heard that as well. I don't know if that's necessarily disrespectful. I think there needs to be some kind of delineation between like this is what the church accepts as true and canon, and this is like a mythology with the same characters and the same places, right? Like even our I talked about Father Jerry way back in our early episodes, right? And how he basically like turned to the congregation and he talked about how the flood, right, in Noah's Ark and everything like that probably didn't happen exactly the way that it's put down in the Bible, right? And he referred to it as this is part of our mythology, right? And that's a canonical part of the Bible. So
but there are even branching off from like Noah's Ark, like the idea. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like the idea that the first bird that goes out is the raven, right, or the crow,
right? Yes,
but that the raven or the crow didn't come back because of some reason. That's not in the Bible, right? Right.
Yes. You are correct. Well. On that instance, I'll have to check, but I think I think you are correct. And like while we're on this subject, the idea that the snake in the Garden of Eden is the devil, that's not in the Bible, right?
Exactly.
That was added later. Yeah.
Right.
So you have a lot of stuff, and then like going on another example of like Christian mythology would be like Dante's Inferno. Right, or the Divine Comedy, right? Using and here's where it gets like super muddy, folks, because I mean, like I can talk to people today who are like, oh yeah, I believe in hell and the circles of hell. The circles of hell, that's a Dante thing,
right?
Right, like so. There's older texts that like just outright say, hey, no, this is fiction. This is like historical fiction, or this is religious mythological fiction. Using the devil, or using heaven and hell and God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and angels like Saint Michael and stuff like that, right? But it's written by Dante Alighieri, or it's written by John Milton doing Paradise Lost, right? And as time passes, we kind of like the lines blur, and I was certainly guilty of kind of like mixing those things as, and then having to check myself and be like, oh, no, that's not in the Bible. That's John Milton, or that's Dante or something like that, right?
But he writes it so well.
It's so, right?
Yeah. And so some of this is fun, obviously, and the ones we're going to do they're going to be fun, right?
Oh,
hopefully.
this one is bonkers. I love this. I'm so happy about this.
But there are some like harmful versions of the exotextual reading of the Bible, like the popular converting of Mary Magdalene into a sex worker, a prostitute, right? Which is not biblical, and that has all sorts of implications of taking someone who is not a disciple but close into Jesus's inner circle, right? And then dismissing them, the only woman in that, right? And dismissing them as a sex worker.
Right. Yes. And then also and kind of like having a stigma on sex workers and saying like just by that addition, saying something about like sex workers and things like that. Right. Right. Yeah.
And where the Mary Magdalene in the books is something like a rabbi herself, and not officially in that case, but is someone who is following around and has great wisdom and learns and is a holy woman.
Right. And we talked about like there are gosh, I wish now that you've opened up this can of worms, Keenan, and I wish I would. Whoopsie. I wish I could remember at this time. I don't have it with me at hand right now. But like there are some implications that even like some of the apostles or some of the like more important people in the Bible were women, and it was just kind of like through multiple translations and also just kind of like agendas. Those were changed into male characters, and it's like, interesting that like all of the important women's roles were kind of reduced, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so talking about like what is canonical, what is non-canonical, what is apocrypha, what is not, right? So one of the things that divides Christians is the argument about what is canon and what is not. Like I said, Book of Judith, Catholics say it's canon. Protestants say it's fan fiction, right? But okay, so the reason we just went into this whole long-winded explanation about canon and apocrypha is because I want to make it absolutely clear that nobody accepts this book as canon. Everyone unanimously agrees that this is fan fiction, and there are a couple of reasons for this. Okay, Keenan, before I even get into the reasons, can you just guess?
Because it was written like way later.
Yeah, that's actually one of them. Yeah,
okay, yeah. Because it's got magic in it.
Yeah. When I played the guessing game on myself, I was like, is it because of the demons?
There are demons in the Bible, right?
Yeah, there are demons in the Bible. But in this context, like this is a very, very special story, folks. I'm so excited about this. So, okay, yeah. Firstly, this is absolutely not written by Solomon. That's not even a question. Again, like some of these are questionable as pertaining to the authors, right? Like, did Matthew actually write the Gospel of Matthew? What about like Mark and Luke and John, right? But there is absolutely no question about the Testament of Solomon. Well, okay, actually there is. The question is who wrote the Testament of Solomon? And there is at least one definite answer, and that is not Solomon.
But Solomon in some readings wrote Ecclesiastes, didn't he?
Yeah, right. Like he is attributed to other parts of the canonical Bible.
Yeah,
right?
So he could have written this if he wanted to. That's why I'm bringing that up.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
Yeah. No,
but he didn't write it.
Right, he didn't. He absolutely didn't. Like, let's make that very, very clear. Right, on the list of people who may have written the Testament of Solomon. Solomon comes in near the end. He's like right next to Kenan and I. Right? Actually, Kenan, did you write the Testament of Solomon?
I promise you I did not write the Testament of Solomon.
All right, so we're one person closer, folks, to finding this out, right? But just let's be clear, this is definitely not Solomon.
Right.
Which makes for some unintentional comedy because the author continually refers to himself, saying things like, and then I, Solomon. But no, this was written almost 1,000 years after Solomon's time, right? That's one of the reasons, as Keenan pointed out, right, that we know that this wasn't Solomon, right?
Right.
Another reason that this isn't accepted as canon is because it mixes a bunch of flavors from different centuries and cultures, right? We have Jewish mysticism, but then we got Greek mythology, we have Christian mythology. Interesting that we organically just kind of touched on that before this, right? We got philosophy, right? It is a patchwork quilt, a mishmash, a confusing, chaotic, delicious, demony stew. And yeah, the other reason is that there's demons. There's a lot of demons, right? Also, this text has been passed around, handed down, translated, transcribed, written and rewritten, copied and edited, rearranged so many times by so many hands and with so many different ideas of like what a word means objectively or what it should mean, right? According to the translators. Folks, remember, we talked about on the show about the 5,000-year-old game of telephone that is the canonical Bible,
right? And
how hard it is to interpret stuff from there. So hard that you could dedicate your life to it and still be finding new interpretations and translations, right? This is beyond even that. This is the telephone game times 100, times 666.
Times 72 times 666.
Yeah, 36 times 2, 72 divided by 666. Yeah,
72. Right? That's 9 1/4.
Wow.
That's what I got. Hey,
wow. Okay.
I can't show you my work because I'm on a podcast, but yeah. And again, just I don't want to get off too far, but just to throw out like this translation thing, like it's fun when it's demons. It has some pretty big implications when it is it thou shalt not kill or is it thou shalt not murder? Those are two different things.
Yeah. Or I mean, let's Oh.
You okay?
Everything is shaking in the room right now.
Oh, earthquake?
I think so.
Or is it demons?
Yeah, I know, right? Like we're making light of this thing. Yeah, folks, we are recording. Well, I'm recording in California, and Keenan is recording in Las Vegas, and we're in the midst of a storm. The first, I guess, official tropical storm that has been in a while.
Yeah, like within our lifetimes, like 84 years ago, I think is the last one.
Yeah. So
that's hit Los Angeles and San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah, everything just settled down.
All right, earthquake.
Wow, interesting. All right, well, yeah. So without further ado, let us not anger anymore the powers that be. Goodness, let me just cross.
What do you think the commandment is? Thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not murder. Right into the exorcistminute@gmail.com, so you could win a button.
I'm afraid I'm getting an answer right now. But no, okay. Well, like talking about that, Keenan, right? Like, so even just like the mistranslations, the contextual, right? Because you have language and you have culture, right? And language and culture go hand in hand, and you can't separate those things, right? Like it's the same way. It's like if I ask you, "How are you?" and everybody says, "I'm fine," right? But like when I was in Japan, it'd be like, "O genki desu ka?" Right? And people say, "Hi, genki desu." And genki means like, I'm full of vim and vigor. I'm full of pep. I'm like super high energy. I'm ready to take on the world, right? But they say it in the same moment when we would say, "I'm fine." So like I've had students who, they're practicing English and they'll be like, "Oh, how are you?" And the person who answers in the exercise would be like, "I'm fine," right? Because they want to match it with the energy of genki, right? But it's like, oh no, it's not a one-to-one thing. And similarly, we do the same thing when we're speaking in a language that's different from our own. We have these contextual, cultural, like echoes and shadows that inform how we look at things, right?
I think in Korea and the Philippines, it is "Have you eaten yet?" is sort of
right.
It's just like, "Have you eaten yet?" Oh yeah, no, yeah.
It's in even though it's like "Nichurlama," yeah.
Oh yeah, and they have no desire to feed you, but that's just
because it's like looking out for you, making sure it's like I care about you, right?
Right.
So the context under all of it is like, hey, I care about you, but like we have different ways of saying it, and it can be taken literally by somebody who's like studying the language and doesn't get, the language culture.
Right.
But yeah, so like in addition to the language barrier and the, the translations upon translations upon translations, right? We also got missing pages in this thing. Now, how do we know there are missing pages? Because whoever was transcribing it into whatever the current language is tells us, oh, there's a page missing here, right? And sometimes there's straight up nonsense words that don't mean anything in any language, alive or dead, right? And that's recorded too. So there's literally notes in the text where like the scribe is like, I don't know what this word means, or this is not a word, right? So yeah, so for all of those reasons, this is an apocryphal text, right? It has too many holes, the dates aren't correct, and the author is absolutely, positively not Solomon, right? Yeah. Another reason for it not being canon is that the story itself is bonkers, crazy, cuckoo, banana pants, but who are we kidding? That's why we're here.
Great. I love it. And you're sure this Solomon who lived to be 1,000 didn't live to be another 2,500 after that or whatever.
Anything is possible, right? Yeah. 72 demons, hey, who am I to say what's, who am I to split hairs, right? But actually, okay, before we get into this, just a little bit of context. Now, since the 1st century, it has been believed that Solomon was a sorcerer who could control demons, right? So this text is working from that. So that's not a new idea. The Testament of Solomon did not come up with this idea.
Right.
It's been part of the mythos of Solomon since the 1st century, right? Even in Muslim countries, Solomon was rumored to be a controller of many demons and jinn. Now, again, this isn't canon in Islam either, right? When I say no one accepts this as canon, I literally mean no one believes this, right? But again, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, right? We have our mythologies about the canonical parts of the Bible as well. But yeah, this book and this story has also been used as the basis for a lot of books of magic, occult textbooks, stuff like that, right? The one we mentioned at the top of the show, right? The Lesser Key of Solomon, inside of which is a section called the Ars Goetia or the Ars Goetia, which is basically a list of 72 demons, which Solomon apparently had under his control. But yeah, like I said, before we can get into that, let's get into this story. So the Testament of Solomon opens up with a little preface. Preface? Preface, okay. Epitome.
Preface.
Preface. Prefaci. It basically says that this is the story of how Solomon came to control all these demons and how they helped him build the temples, right? So here it goes. Testament of Solomon, son of David, who was the king in Jerusalem, and mastered and controlled all spirits of the air, on the earth and under the earth. By means of them also he wrought all the transcendent works of the temple, telling also of the authorities they wield against men, and by what angels these demons are brought to naught. So yeah, after this, the book opens proper with a bunch of people trying to build the temple for Solomon, but they got a problem. Keenan, guess what kind of problem they have?
Is this the problem where they?
It's not the problem of Pazuzu.
Maybe. Is this the problem where Solomon is supposed to only build the temple out of stone that he's not allowed to use tools on?
Aha. Okay. Actually, well, firstly, no.
I didn't just make that up, though, did I?
No, you didn't. No.
Am I having some kind of?
No. You're citing something. No.
If I just made that up, I gotta stop this podcast.
You absolutely did not. No,
I gotta go grab a notepad and start writing things down.
Don't
steal it, anybody. That's my idea.
No. What I'm trying to say is you cited something from the Talmud.
Okay, great. Okay.
And not this fun cuckoo crazy banana pants story. So you actually went more authentic.
Oh, it's always the Talmud stealing my ideas.
But no, no. I believe the story in there is that yes, he has to build the temple, but it has to be out of unhewn stone.
Right.
Right. And the way he does that, I believe, this is like he summons a worm.
Yeah.
And the worm kind of like cuts the stone for him.
Exactly.
And then he gets another demon to help him. And that demon is actually going to feature in this cuckoo crazy banana pants story. Yeah.
Well, thank God that wasn't just something that I thought of. I had some seizure or something, and I was just imagining this on the floor of my bedroom.
No, if anything, that one actually has more merit than this one.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You went a little too serious.
Right. It's like, yeah. Lester, remember that time when you and I were commanded to build the temple? And God was like, you got to build it, but you can't use any iron tools on it. And we're like, well.
Can you remember that time when we were trying to build a podcast, but God said we couldn't talk about movies?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we tried to do some bonus episodes, but then God sent you a hurricane, and you still went to the office to record it, and then
record it, yeah.
And
on
then
the Sabbath day,
on
that's
the
why.
Sabbath day, and you didn't get the hint, so he sent an earthquake after you.
Yeah. Coming up next is 72 demons. You're gonna be in here. Right. But yeah, so no, it's not the unhewn stone thing.
Okay, what problem?
Because that's actually correct. But I'm gonna pretend, and I'm gonna say, Keenan, if you said a demon problem,
we got a demon problem.
You'd be right. They got demons. More specifically, they have a demon, right? And this demon, he is making it hard for these guys to build this temple. Specifically, he's making it hard for Solomon's favorite worker, who happens to be the son of the master workman. And this boy is so favored by Solomon that Solomon gives him double wages and double shares of food. However, this boy comes to him one day, and Solomon sees that he has wasted away to almost nothing. And he asks Solomon for help because every day a demon comes around, takes half of this kid's pay, half of this kid's food, but that's not even the worst part, Keenan. Can you guess the worst part?
Demons. Oh, that was right the last time.
That was the correct answer for the previous question.
Oh God, that's all I got. I'm just a student writing C all the way down on my Scantron.
Okay, if you said this demon also sucks this kid's thumb.
Oh, this demon also sucks this kid's thumb.
You'd be right.
Oh yeah.
Yes, folks. So the main reason this kid is wasting away is because this demon comes to him at night and sucks the life force out of this kid's thumb.
Now that is a nightmare I used to have when I was a kid.
Really?
That I haven't told anybody.
Oh, are we getting? Oh gosh, this is a revelation.
No, I used to have a dream. I haven't told this to anybody. I used to have a dream that the girls from school when I was in elementary school would come in through my window and like do little scientific things and suck my energy out, like with like little needles and IVs and things.
See, Keenan, you call that a nightmare. But I'm sure that when I was the same age back then, I was having very similar dreams. And they were not scary.
And you've never told anybody.
No. But yeah, this is. I was getting a little bit nervous, Keenan. I was like, it's in this story. You have this dream. I thought you were going to say that you have a dream about, like, a nightmare about a demon sucking your. I was like, is this a common thing that I don't know about? But no, you had a very normal dream. Okay.
Oh yeah, real normal. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess so.
Folks, kids, adolescents, if you're listening to this, firstly, if you don't listen to this show, what are you doing?
No.
Give the phone back to your mom or dad. But no, what was I saying?
Your dreams are okay no matter
your dreams
who
are okay
you
to
are.
have. They're normal.
We love you.
Yes.
You're enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless it is a demon who comes and sucks your thumb. That might be a little bit.
Then they should get that checked out if they're having demon dreams. I think.
Well, or you go to Solomon. Which is what this boy did. There we go. I'm bringing it back.
Yeah. Usually, I like the depictions of Solomon because normally there's like a line of people right outside the temple, like waiting and waiting, right? Like, but yeah. So yeah, in the depictions of Solomon, like there's people always waiting in these long lines. Like, guys, they didn't invent waiting in lines till 1492 when they all came to Isabella and Ferdinand clearly and waited outside the palace to try to go around the world, if I remember correctly.
It was a tooth and nail fight to the death to get in front of Solomon.
Right.
Exactly. That was that. Yeah. I'm actually reading. So I think I mentioned that Bartimaeus series on the show before. But there's a prequel, and it's called The Ring of Solomon, and it's where Bartimaeus is. He's one of the demons, in Solomon's court, and it's very, very interesting. Highly recommend it. But yeah, so we're back to this demon, which is not like Bartimaeus at all. But yeah, so he sucks this kid's thumb, and no matter how much food or how much money Solomon gives this kid, he seems to be wasting away before the king's eyes. And what I like about this, and also like what sort of clues you into why this isn't accepted as canon, is it straddles that line between like how the rest of the Bible sounds and how those later sort of like rhythmic fairy tales sound, right? Like you could swap this demon out for like an ogre or a troll or something like that, Like he seems very earthly, right? Like he's stealing food, he's stealing money. It sounds like Beowulf, where like Grendel sort of rolls up, he steals a bunch of like maidens and chickens and sacks of grain, and then he rolls out of there again, right?
Right.
Yeah, like the style is a little bit different from the canonical Bible, right? Like the first thing that came to my mind actually was because of these stories I'm more familiar with, but like in Japan, they have those folk heroes like Kintaro and Momotaro, and like you have these episodic adventures that usually feature, and we talked about these guys on the show too, the Oni, right? And they usually act like bandits who come in and take stuff or terrorize the townsfolk. And so the hero sets out to find them, lays a trap for them, outsmarts them in some way and wins the treasure back or saves the town, right? This thumb-sucking demon doesn't sound like Legion or the devil tempting Jesus in the desert. He sounds like an Oni or an ogre or a troll. Right. Yeah. And then also just
being a bother.
Yeah, just being like pesky, right? And actually, like that's what his name means. We're gonna find later is pesky demon.
Oh,
right. But yeah, and then also just kind of like the rhythmic nature of it. It's like, but I give you double pay and double food, but then you waste away. It's like, well, the house of straw didn't work and the house of sticks didn't work, right? It's that kind of like rhythm that tells you this is kind of like a folksy folk tale. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about the original Bible, it's sometimes hard to dramatize, right?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, this story, or like the Oni stories, right? They're very easily folk-taleable. Like, I mean, you could have somebody dress up as an Oni and have someone dress up like this thumbsucker guy. It sounds like it'd be like, I'm the thumbsucker guy, and I suck a thumb, right? Like Legion is hard to put that into something you could act or you could paint even.
Right. It's like, yeah, there are big chunks of the Bible where it's literally like, and then this happened, and then this happened, right? And some parts of the Bible where it's just like a list of names, like the Gats, right? Which we know that we can just shorten into Jacob.
Jacobson's son, Jacobson.
Yep. It's all Jacob. Yeah. But yeah, okay. But like, yeah. So speaking to the style of this, right? I want to read the 5th verse in our Testament of Solomon, right? It was, definitely not written by Solomon. I just want to say that, right? Okay. So verse 5. Now, when I, Solomon, heard this, I entered the temple of God and prayed with all my soul night and day that the demon might be delivered into my hands and that I might gain authority over him. And it came about through my prayer that grace was given to me from the Lord Shabaoth by Michael his archangel. He brought to me a little ring, having a seal consisting of an engraved stone, and said to me, Take, O Solomon king, son of David, the gift which the Lord God has sent thee, the highest Shabaoth. With it thou shalt lock up all demons of the earth, male and female, and with their help thou shalt build up Jerusalem. But thou must wear this seal of God, and this engraving of the seal of the ring sent thee is a pentalpha. So Solomon's like, all right, I got to go check with God and see what I can do. So he goes into the temple to pray and ask God for advice. Keenan, do we catch an inconsistency here? This story is about how Solomon got a bunch of demons to build the first temple.
Right.
And at the beginning of the story, he goes into the temple.
Oh, my God.
To ask, exactly, oh, my God.
But
to
the
ask
story
God for
is about
advice.
him building the temple.
Yes. Yeah. So, and, some people is like, oh, well, maybe he was standing in the foundations, or maybe temple is symbolic, or, whatever, right? Like, yeah, it's like maybe that's what it means, or maybe, right? Like, and this is another reason why this story isn't accepted by anyone as canon. It's not holy, but it is full of holes.
But they wrote this, several years after, or several centuries,
like
several millenniums afterwards, right? So
yeah.
They had some time to clean this up, you all. I mean,
but I think by then they had the image in their mind of, Solomon, King Solomon in the temple, right? So they had that character like firmly fixed in their mind, right? So it's like, oh yeah, Solomon in the temple, right? Like what does Solomon do in this story about building the temple? Oh, he goes into the temple and prays.
That's where he lives.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, actually, it's interesting to note here. So the name that Solomon uses when he prays to God, Shabaoth or Sabaoth, I wish I knew the proper pronunciation. I've heard it, Shabaoth, is one of God's many names. It comes from the Hebrew word for that which goes forth, and also for like armies and hosts, right? Like, so you've heard like the Lord of hosts, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the name Yahweh Shabaoth declares God's reign over heaven and earth and over all armies, earthly and spiritual. So like in the Bible proper, different names of God are used in different instances, and it's usually to like denote the particular relationship that the speaker has with God, right? So you have like Adonai, which means my Lord, or you have like Elohim, and you have like El Shaddai, which means God Almighty, and El Elyon, which means like the Most High God, right? And then you have like in the New Testament, Jesus referring to God as Abba, right? Which is
I haven't heard that.
Oh yeah, which it's like, and that's Aramaic for father. And what's more, that word Abba is like very intimate. It's very familial. So it's very close. It's kind of like saying Papa, right? Yeah. So, which is why it's so shocking, because like it's so different from the other names used, right? When Jesus says Abba, it's like,
but then when we translate it, right, that's losing a lot. I mean, that's making a very definite choice when we change it from something like Papa to Father.
Right. See what happens like when you translate things, folks, you lose so much of this like good stuff, right? Or sometimes you add stuff that wasn't supposed to be there, right? Like when we have paintings of Moses having horns or something like that, right? So the best way to interpret all of these things is like in their own original language, because there's just so much good, like there's culture, there's puns, there's like a context and all of this stuff that we lose when we translate it over into like our native language, right? If it's not our culture.
Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record about like the anti-feminism that comes in the passages of the Bible that are translated over and over again, but like to call your dad Papa is more traditionally feminine, right? It's like more caring and more like definitely less patriarchal. You see what I'm saying? Definitely less like my father upon high is like this God above you who is your father, but just a lawgiver. Like it doesn't have that like familial childlike relationship with you, right? Right.
Like even like we like if we both, Keenan, you and I said to our dads, right, Father, right, they're gonna look at us like what's up, like what's happening
exactly,
right now?
Right, yeah, like we have a closer relationship than that. Where the Father, I mean, like to refer to him as the Father and only as the Father, or have Jesus referred to him as the Father in the first person, makes him seem more distant, doesn't it? Emotionally, I mean.
Distant to us or distant?
Distant, just emotionally distant to Jesus, even.
Oh, you mean like the literal word Father, F-A-T-H-E-R. Yeah, rather than Abba.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, I'm just hearing about this now, so I have to think about this more. But yeah, that sounds.
I really hope I'm not wrong.
That quite matters, I would say.
Yeah, folks. And again, we're not experts, so if you find out that we are wrong, chastise us to the proper extent. No. Fling us into eternal hellfire. No. But yeah, let us know, right? theexorcistminute@gmail.com. Because again, we want to learn, and we also don't want to like be spitting misinformation, right? Yeah. But yeah, so back to this name. So this name, Shabaoth or Sabaoth, is calling upon God's like demon defeating powers, right? So that's why it's used in this story, right? And then also, this passage is the first of many that begins with, so then I, Solomon, right? This is definitely me. I definitely wrote this. Testament of Solomon, which is me. This is my testament. Right?
Yeah, copyright 100 BC by Solomon Incorporated, LLC.
Right. But yeah, so he's answered by Saint Michael the Archangel, right? So we got him coming back here.
That's our old pal. Right?
He's actually my patron saint. Yeah.
Yeah. And he saved Robbie Doe.
And it saved Robbie Doe. Yeah. And so this is how Solomon gets his famous ring, right? In the mythos, this is the magic ring that's going to control all the demons, right? Again, this story didn't create this, right? The ring has been part of the non-canonical mythology of Solomon for a long time, right? This story is doing the thing like, hey, ever wonder how he got the ring? Right?
This is the origin story.
This is the origin story, even though like the notion of the ring has been around older than this story. And so on this ring is what's known as the seal of Solomon, right? So it's like a signet ring, right? It has your symbol on it, right? Like back when you used to like stamp letters and stuff into wax, right? Or you would have like a ring with your little symbol on it, right? And if you Google the Ring of Solomon or the Seal of Solomon, you'll see a bunch of different designs. Most notable, one that looks like the Star of David or something close to it. They are not the same thing, right? They just look very, very similar. That, I believe, is the most popular one, though no one actually knows what was really on the ring. I don't even think the earliest versions of this tale specify what's on it. And this one, again, like throwing new stuff into the mix, right? It says the symbol is a pentalpha, which, pent, 5, alpha, letter A. So it's 5 A's in a circle, which makes a pentagram.
Okay, but that's not a hexagram, which is what the Star of David is.
Precisely. So so you see the Star of David, right? And you see like Keenan, Google like the Seal of Solomon right now.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what looks like the Star of David, right?
Yep, that is a hexagram. That is a Star of David, right?
So that is not a pentalpha. Right. So that's what I'm saying is that this story is like, no. It's a pentalpha. So this story is like adding new things.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I think just to be kind of like, like whenever you write like an origin story, you're like, well, actually, did you know that the Joker is Batman's brother?
Right.
But no, yeah, like whenever you add something like whenever you like kind of like reboot something, like you feel like it's like, oh, I got to add my little thing into it, right? Yeah. So I think that's what the pentalpha is, right? Again, like nobody knows what it actually was. And I feel like the author of the text is trying to like be different for, difference's sake, right? The author, Solomon.
Please call me Solomon.
Call me Solomon. Okay. Speaking of which, let's read the next little passage here. And I, Solomon.
This guy.
And I, Solomon, was overjoyed and praised and glorified the God of heaven and earth. And on the morrow I called the boy and gave him the ring and said to him, take this, and at the hour in which the demon shall come unto thee, throw this ring at the chest of the demon and say to him, in the name of God, King Solomon calls thee hither. And then do thou come running to me without having any misgivings or fear in respect of aught thou mayest hear on the part of the demon. So our narrator, Solomon, calls the kid back and immediately gives the ring that he just got from St. Michael, who said it was a gift from God. And he's like, go find the demon and throw this at him. And when the demon asks why you did that, say Solomon wants to see you.
Tell him Solomon sent you.
That's exactly right.
Tell him Solomon said, this is a nice demon you got here. It'd be a shame if something would have happened to it.
Hey, this is a nice thumb you got here.
Nice thumb you got here. It'd be a nightmare or a dream if something would happen to it, depending on who you are.
Depending on who you are,
Depending on your feelings about such things.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't judge. I literally just suck thumbs. That's what it says on my clipboard today.
To do. Suck thumbs. Check and mate.
Yep. Well, I guess I got to add this one. Go see Solomon. Thought I was done for the day. Slowly turning into Gilbert Gottfried. A boy walks in to see the king.
I'm doing my demon thing. And something bops me in the side of the head.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It specifically says it hits him in the chest, right? So it's like he's putting the seal of Solomon, like he's stamping the demon,
right?
Which I think is interesting.
Is that a real thing? Like you see that in movies, right? Of like somebody putting their seal on a letter with the seal on it, but with a ring. Is that real?
No, I think it's a ring because that way nobody can steal it.
Right. Oh yeah, it's on your finger.
So it's like so you have your own special seal, which is like that's how people know that the letter that comes from you is authentic. But like your housekeeper could be like dusting your desk one day and they could just pick that up, right? Unless it's on a ring on your finger.
Right. I gotcha. So, but Solomon throws it at the kid instead of...
He literally... It's like, so the added protection of it being a ring on his finger, which was literally given to him by an angel.
Right.
After he prayed to God, and he immediately hands it over to this little kid. Whom we have no reason to believe is telling the truth.
Yeah. So what's Thumbsucker going to think? That this kid killed Solomon and took his hand?
Let's read this because this is actually
okay,
interesting.
Great. All right. Wonderful.
So the child took the ring and went off, and behold, at the customary hour, the fierce demon came like a burning fire to take the pay from the child. But the child, according to the instructions received from the king, threw the ring at the chest of the demon and said, King Solomon calls thee hither. And then he went off at a run to the king. But the demon cried out loud, saying, Child, why hast thou done this to me? Take the ring off me, and I will render to thee the gold of the earth. Only take this off me, and forbear to lead me away to Solomon. But the child said to the demon, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, I will not brook thee, so come hither. And the child came at a run, rejoicing, to the king, and said, I have brought the demon, O king, as thou didst command me, O my master. And behold, he stands before the gates at the court of thy palace, crying out and supplicating with a loud voice, offering me the silver and gold of the earth, if I will only bring him unto thee. So yeah, I noticed he added silver in there. Dad said I could stay up until 10 30.
Right. Yeah, I don't know where this demon's going to get silver. I get where he gets gold. That's clear. I understand that completely.
Well, no, I think this is in a time, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But this is at a time where like demons had kind of control over like all the material things.
Right. Yeah. So this demon is on the gold standard. Libertarians, pay attention.
Precisely. Yeah.
He's a mercantilist. I don't know if we have economics nerds.
He's a mercantilist and he's an Aquarius. You think I'm joking. But yeah, so our boy does just that. Like he throws the ring and he runs away. And immediately, like the power of the ring is like felt by this demon, right? He calls out, it's like, no, why have you done this, right? And
why you do this to me, little boy?
Why you do this to me, little boy? Who's on my son? But yeah, so
I never learned your name, but I know that thumb anywhere.
That's how, it's like dogs identify through smell.
Right, exactly.
And demons are like, how when you want to tell like which way the wind is blowing, you stick your thumb in your mouth.
Right.
Right. And then you hold it up into the air, right? It's like, wait a minute, right? Which one are you? I'm not going to do the sucking sound into the microphone, folks. That's gross.
You're Jacob.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, like all of us are Jacob. That doesn't help, right? Literally everybody. Yeah. But yeah, so he says like, hey, Solomon wants to see you, right? And so, yeah, the kid runs back to Solomon. He's like, yeah, I did it. The demon is right outside, right? So Solomon goes out and he sees this demon, and this demon is like wailing and begging and crying. And Solomon says, so what's your name? And the demon says that his name is Orneus, right? Which literally means pesky.
Okay.
Right? So he is a pesky demon, right? And the next thing Solomon asks is, what's your sign? And Orneus says, I'm an Aquarius.
Stop it.
No, I am not joking. Really. And this is, okay, this is actually important to the story.
Okay.
At this time, there was no concept of hell as we know it, right? So demons resided in what is known as the firmament,
right?
Which is just like the heavens, not heaven, but like the sky, right? Specifically, the dome over the earth with all the stars in it, right? And so there was this idea that the demons like resided in the stars and in the constellations, right?
I see,
And that's where they live. And then the rest of the time, they're like flying around the firmament or dropping down to earth to bother humans and suck thumbs. So Orneus, the pesky demon, lives inside the constellation Aquarius. So Orneus then explains what his job is. He tortures young men in their sleep, specifically those who are enamored with beautiful women, right? So he's punishing them for having lustful thoughts and torturing them in their dreams, right? Which is like, so that got me thinking, because we were just talking about those dreams we were having.
Or nightmares.
I don't know if I'm going to leave in or cut out.
Oh no, you got it.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's a thing. Like, is this like a metaphor for like is Orneus like a succubus? You know what I mean?
I thought you were going to say it's a metaphor for a wet dream.
Well, I was going to say that too.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. Well, like because a succubus is a metaphor for wet dream.
Right. Yeah.
Is what that is. So okay. Oh God. Now we got to get into all the context. Okay.
Hey. So, you're the one bringing up sucking thumbs over here, little
I know,
boys.
Right? It's not me. It's Solomon, who's definitely writing this thing. No, okay. So like incubus, succubus.
Right.
So these are demons. These are demons who like. Dang it, which one is which? Hang on.
An incubus is a man and a succubus is a woman, I think.
Okay. Yep, that's a lady. Okay. Got it. Okay, close that tab. There we go. But yeah, so incubi and succubi are like specific types of demons who like come to you at night and they like basically they kind of like rape you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they molest you and it causes you like you wake up having God, how do I talk about this?
What's wrong? You have a nocturnal emission.
There we go. Yeah, the more scientific, the better. Let's do that.
I don't know
what
you were going to say.
I
was trying to wait for you to say it. You jizz in your jammies.
No, yeah.
I was waiting for you to say something.
Oh God. Okay. I want to think about that. But yeah, so that's what they are, right? And they're I guess my understanding is that these demons were kind of like made up to explain like when you have a nocturnal emission, when you have like a wet dream or something like that, right? So, you're like a prepubescent teenager whose hormones are going all over the place and you're having these dreams and you're just starting to notice girls or boys and you're like just starting to kind of like, like have these thoughts and everything like that. And, of course, like, I don't care what society you were born into, right? It's probably one that told you that those thoughts are bad.
Right.
So you kind of like keep them, tamped down into your subconscious. So where do they come? They come in dreams, right? And you have you have those like, crazy sexy dreams and you wake up and there's a wet spot on your trousers, right? That's what that is.
You sleep in your trousers, huh? That's your first problem.
Your PJs, whatever. Right? Or on your blanket. I don't know. I don't know how you sleep. I don't want to think about this. I don't want to talk about this. But what I'm saying is like, so in some cultures, they'll be like, oh, that's a succubus or that's an incubus. That's why. So it's not that you're normal and that your brain is normal and that your body did a normal thing, which is absolutely normal.
Right.
It's that a demon came to you and sucked your thumb. And you had a dream. Right. Actually, like that's one of the things that witches were being accused of, right? So, if old Father Mather had like a sexy dream one day and it featured one of the women in the village. Right. That's not on Father Mather. Right. That's on that lady who was in the dream. Right.
And he wants to make it everybody's business.
Exactly. Right. And he wants to kind of like convince himself that he is pure of heart and pure of soul. Right. It was this witch's fault. Yeah. So gross. Humans don't much care for him. So Ornius says who he is, where he's from, what he does, and then the last thing that he says is that he is the offspring of the angel Uriel.
Yeah, we got the offspring, we got Incubus, we got Black Sabbath, we got AC/DC in here.
Yep.
Metallica. When's Metallica show up?
Oh, you just wait.
When's the Def Leppard come in?
Yeah, you think we buried the lead with this thumb sucking thing? Oh no. If I tell you it only gets crazier from here,
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. So this interview that Solomon has with Ornius, right? This interview kind of sets the tone for a big chunk of this book, where Solomon interviews these demons or interrogates them, right?
Right.
And they tell him who they are, what they do, where they live, and what angel or holy power they are like subject to. Right. So Uriel is like Ornius's like kryptonite, right? His opposing force.
That's his parent. And
that's his parent and his the thing that you use to boss him around.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you want to banish Ornius or enslave him, you call upon the angel Uriel, right? And so Solomon does that, right? The text reads, I, Solomon, having heard the name of the archangel, prayed and glorified God, the Lord of heaven and earth, and I sealed the demon and set him to work at stone cutting, so that he might cut the stones in the temple, which, lying along the shore, had been brought by the sea of Arabia. But he, fearful of the iron, continued and said to me, I pray thee, King Solomon, let me go free, and I will bring you all the demons. And as he was not willing to be subject to me, I prayed the archangel Uriel to come and succor me, and I forthwith beheld the archangel Uriel coming down to me from the heavens. And the angel bade the whales of the sea come out of the abyss, and he cast his destiny upon the ground, and that destiny made subject to him the great demon. And he commanded the great demon to cut stones at the temple. And accordingly, I, Solomon, glorified the God of heaven and the maker of the earth. And he bade Ornius to come with his destiny and gave him the seal, saying, Away with thee, and bring me hither, the prince of all the demons. Yeah. Okay. So basically Solomon tells him, okay, you're going to work for me now. You're going to go cut the stone of this temple that I'm going to build. Right. And the demon says, I don't want to do that, particularly because like he is afraid of the iron. So, and this is another thing like in the lore, like iron is harmful to demons. Right. So he's like, no, please, I like set me free and I will bring you like all of the demons. Right. And this is very Billy Goat's gruff right here, right? Like if you let me pass, like my brothers are bigger and tastier, right?
Right. I'll give you all the gold and all the silver.
Exactly.
And the demons.
Yeah, and so Solomon is like, nope. And he calls the angel Uriel, right, who we know is like Orneus's kryptonite. And so Uriel, like, basically calls up these, like, it says whales, right? But the word for whale and the word for sea monster in these texts are the same.
Right.
And so this could be like either one. This could also be alluding to those like biblical sea monsters like Behemoth and Leviathan. Like, in fact, in another text I saw, there was this added sentence like the male sea monsters are called Behemoth and the females are called Leviathan.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this has done the job, right? Orneus is cowed and Solomon has his first demon. But then Solomon gets this idea. Why have one pesky demon when you can have the prince of demons? Mm-hmm. So he orders Orneus to go and fetch him the prince of demons.
So now he controls Orneus for sure.
Yes. So Orneus is his free labor right now.
I don't. Where does that say that in this little thing?
Well, no, it's implied.
Just sort of implied. That's what I thought. It's sort of implied. So once you catch him. And throw your seal. I'm just trying to get the rules down.
Yeah.
You catch him, you throw your seal at him, or affix your seal somehow, and you interrogate him, and then he does whatever you want.
Keenan, do you want to be the very best? Like no king of Israel ever was. To train them is your real test. And to force them to build the temple of Israel is your cause. Yes. No. And folks, I just want to be clear that one of the sources that I used for this was one of my new favorite podcasts, the Apocryphals, right? Mm-hmm. And the Apocryphals do make the Pokedex joke as well. I just want to put it out there that I did think of that joke by myself. So we both thought of it independently, which should tell you something about why this book is not canon.
But hey, if it's already a good joke, why struggle to write your own?
Yeah, right?
I don't know what the equivalent would be besides a Pokedex of 72 demons. So,
well, actually, okay. So this is in their episode, which I recommend everybody go listen to. But they mentioned that at the time of the releasing of their episode about the Testament of Solomon, the Vatican releases JC Go. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of JC Go?
I can imagine.
It's like Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
But you go around and you catch all the saints.
You catch the saints, huh?
I guess.
And make them battle with each other?
I don't know. I've not checked it out further than that. But I submit that an even better template for this game would be the Goetia. So it would be Goetiamon Go. And we get all these little demons, right? And the first one you get, right, just like in the game where you have to choose one, right? You wake up to somebody sucking your thumb. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just a little demon. You gotta train me and feed me and
feed me a thumb."
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's why, like, he was hungry. He's
like a Tamagotchi. If you don't feed him your thumb every day, he starts to get real sad.
Exactly.
Little icons come up.
So yeah, folks, that is where we will pick up the next time with Solomon meeting the Prince of all demons.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! It's gonna get extra biblical. It's gonna get apocryphal. Apocrypha sounds like such a cool word. I wish it was.
You wish it didn't mean fake.
Yeah.
It means fake ass bitch shit.
Yeah.
You can't call yourself. I'm Apocryphal Lester.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a beautiful name. What's it mean?
Yeah.
Fake ass bitch shit.
But no, I mean, like imagine, Keenan, it's like I bring you a dusty tome and I'm like, oh, this is the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like apocalypse, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. But no, it's not.
It's not.
And then I bring you another tome and I say, this is the epitome. And that, folks, is the end of the first part of our examination of the Testament of Solomon. Next week, we'll pick up with Solomon meeting the Prince of Demons. But for now, that is all my notes. All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Keenan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!
Mwah.